Well, America is ramping up its protection against swine flu with clinical trials for a vaccine taking place across the country. Well, we can now cross live to our correspondent Dina Gosowski to find out what's really behind those precautions. Are these necessary precautions, or is it just a load of hogwash there? Dina, what do you think?
Hi there, Marina. Well, there is heightened concern about the H1N1 virus, also known as swine flu. The U.S. government really putting forth the effort to prepare for what they say will be a severe flu season. So they're really in a rush to have a vaccine ready by that time. Volunteers are already lining up to get vaccinated. This could be the first step in a campaign to vaccinate millions of people across the country. But are these vaccines necessary, and how safe are they? And who are these people, these volunteers that are essentially being used as guinea pigs? Well, to help me answer those questions, Barbara Lowe Fisher, co-founder and president of the National Vaccine Information Center. Thank you so much for being here. So first of all, who are these volunteers? What incentive do they have? Because it seems crazy to some people that someone would just go willingly to be vaccinated with something that's not proven to be safe.
Well, of course, before a vaccine can be used on the masses, it does have to be proven safe and effective. These vaccines are only going to be studied for a couple of weeks with a couple of hundred children, healthy children, a couple of hundred adults. The government is looking at it, the National Institutes of Health, as well as the vaccine manufacturers. So when they call for volunteers, it's so that the vaccines they put out have some study, even though we think it's too little study. And we have an article that's just been published in the medical literature today that says that, the history shows that second and third waves that they've been predicting of pandemic influenza are more lethal. Is not the case. Even the 1918 pandemic did not have a second and third wave of a mutated virus. What it had was secondary complications, pneumonia. Back then we didn't have broad-spectrum antibiotics like we do today to control secondary complications. So here's the situation. We've had a national public health emergency declared in this country. And because of that, we're fast-tracking vaccines. We're protecting the companies from liability. And what we're saying is this has been an overreaction in order to get these products fast-tracked.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because infectious disease experts say that this could mutate into a deadly strain. So do you disagree with that?
Well, it's not me that disagrees with it. There have been articles that have been published in the medical literature in the past few weeks that by experts, including two experts at the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases of our government, who have said, look at the history. The history of pandemic influenza in the last century does not bear out this idea that there are second and third waves that become more lethal. In fact, the influenza virus becomes less lethal as the population adapts. We get the flu, we have antibodies to the flu, and in fact, those of us who are over 60 have antibodies to this H1N1 swine flu because we've had a similar strain in the past and recovered from it. So, it's kind of upside down. And what we are saying is that perhaps politics has been played here. We don't believe there should be a public health emergency in place right now because this swine flu, H1N1, does not appear any more serious than the regular influenza that goes around.
But they're still kind of in a rush to develop this vaccine. So because they're doing it so quickly, could they then, doctors, scientists, develop something that's not going to be so effective because they don't have time on their side?
Well, and safety is really the issue here. That is, when you only study a vaccine for a couple of weeks in a couple of hundred healthy adults and children, how much do you really know? And then when you give it in school programs, like they're saying, all of our children should line up in schools where you don't have safety mechanisms for keeping accurate records, et cetera, and monitoring the children. A lot of the children have autoimmunity, allergy. They are not all healthy children.
Right.
So what is going to happen to them? They're not going to study it in those children.
Exactly, and many parents are concerned about that. Of course, thank you so much for being here and for your insight as always. For now, I'm going to throw it back to you in Moscow, Marina.